one of us seated there have been made watchmen. If you want to rule in the kingdom, because we're talking about kingdom sources, if you want to rule, if you want to lead in the kingdom, you want to lead the kingdom way, you want to succeed the kingdom way, you have got to have the character of a watchman. So one of the things I did use from the scripture is that the watchman sees war coming. A watchman must see, whether you're a watchman over family, whether you're a watchman over business. He says he has made us watchmen over Israel, over people. So if you are in a business, you're in ministry, whatever, you are a watchman over someone. So if the watchman sees war coming and does not blow the trumpet, warning the people, and war comes and takes anyone off, I will hold the watchman responsible for the bloodshed of any one sinner. So every one of us created is on an assignment. Every one of us created, we're all created. Every one of us is on an assignment. Every one of us has responsibility to execute. Every one of us whether you are 18, whether you're irrespective of your age or gender, you have been made a watchman over a people. And if you want to reign the kingdom way, you want to rule the kingdom way, you must have the culture of a watchman. So the first culture of a watchman is that a watchman sees. A watchman has spiritual sight. A watchman has the sense of sight. A watchman has the sense of perception. If you lack sight, you cannot watch. If you lack sight, you cannot see. A watchman has a post. If you have, for example, a gateman in your house, and the man is there, and you say, like for example, one of the days, somebody came to our house. A reverend drove in, and then he saw this guy. Of course, we didn't have a gateman. And he said, I don't understand. Did I book an appointment with you? And the guy said no, right? But if there was a gatesman and that person came in without our consent, what will the person, the owner of the house, do? They'll sack him. Many of us, when we don't function in the position of watchmen that we are, we can be sacked in our assignment. We can be replaced. We can be displaced. Because every one of us that are believers, every one of us that have been created has a duty. And if you have a duty, you have a post. There is no duty that is given to you that does not have a post that you must occupy. So when you leave your gate, if you see someone who is sleeping, a security man sleeping, what will you say? You say, you're sleeping what? So every watchman, the first culture, the first character of a watchman, first of all, is that apart from his post, he must see, she must see. A watchman must have a spiritual sight. The very interesting thing, let's look at Matthew 13, verse 16, Amplified version. Let me show you something before I go to my main scripture. In Amplified. It says, but blessed, in bracket, happy, fortunate, and to be envied are your eyes because they do see. So what it means is that when you see, you are a blessed man. When you have spiritual sight, you are fortunate. When you have spiritual sight, you are envied. When you have spiritual sight, some translation says you are favored. My translation says, be blessed, spiritually aware and favored by God are your eyes because they see. So a blessed man is a man that is spiritually aware. A blessed man is a man that is favored by God. So when you see, you are favored by God. Of course, you know what is to see? So you can see ahead. You can know things before they happen. So you are favored. So the first thing is a watchman must have sense of sight. A watchman must have sense of perception. Let's look at 2 Kings 4, verse 8 to 10. The first perception that a watchman has is that they perceive who they bring in. I like the scripture. Let's see it in New King James. They perceive who they bring in. Now it happened one day that Elisha went to Shunem, where there was a notable woman. And she persuaded him to eat some food. So it was as often as he passed by, he would turn in there to eat some food. And she said to her husband, look now, I know that this is a holy man of God who passes by us regularly. Please, let us make a small upper room on the wall and let us put bed for him and this, so it will be whenever he comes, he can turn in there and you know the rest of it. So let's go back to verse 9. She said to her husband, look now, I know that this is a holy man of God who passes by us regularly. When you are in a season, you must perceive who passes by. Because many people can pass by around you, doesn't mean that they should be invited into your company or your home. He may not have worn a holy attire, but she perceived. Your visitation may not look like a visitation if you don't perceive that this is a divine one. The man may not, but she could. Her husband did not see, but she saw. She perceived. I said, I know that this man is a holy man of God. And she went to her husband. Let us make a room, an upper room for him. Create a space for him. Because you see, when you want to succeed in life, it's not everyone that you can bring around you. It's not everyone you should invite into your space. It's not everyone you should invite into your ministry. It's not everyone. You need to be able to see, because some people can look like what you think you need, but they are not it. Success is given to us by God. But for us to be able to rule as directed by Him, we must be able to perceive. And that's why many times, before you employ, before you do something, you must go back to Him, because He has made you a watchman over Israel. He has made you a watchman over people. So you cannot afford to decide casually. You cannot afford to decide anyhow. You cannot just wake up and see. Wake and see. You must be able to see through the lens of God to know who the person is. Many of us have invited people that looked like angels, but they were demons. The watchman sees. Many of us have invited people into our homes that looked like angels, but they were demons on assignments. And so you don't know, because why? You fail to be in your duty post so you can see. Until you acknowledge that there is a post for you, you may not position yourself well to see as a watchman. He says, look now, I know that this is a holy man. So many persons were in Shunem seeing him, but not every of them could invite him. Even though she was notable, she was not only wealthy in status, but she was wealthy in spiritual sides. So a watchman must have a sense. You must be able to perceive. You must be able to know what is about to happen in your territory. You must be able to see who you should bring in. You must be able to see who you should talk with. Just because you have a dream and they are around you doesn't mean you must inform them. You must perceive who you should narrate your dreams to, your vision. You know, Joseph made a mistake. We all know it. He told his siblings, right? Because they were around him. That people around you doesn't mean they are the people for your assignments connected to you. So a watchman sees. Number 2, the second thing about a watchman is that they see warfare and strategy, and they strategize for warfare. They see warfare and they strategize. If you look at 2 Kings chapter 6, verse 18. 2 Kings chapter 6, verse 8 rather to 18. If you look at it, it talked about an intercessor in the person of Elisha. Elisha was a watchman. The king of Syria was making war against Israel, and he was consulting with his servants. My camp will be in so and so place. King of Syria was going to wage a war against Israel, king of Israel. And Elisha was in Israel, and he was standing in the gap for Israel. And then he could tell from where he was that there was going to be a warfare. And so he began to strategize. He was sending messages to the king of Israel of where the camp, where it should be, in so and all of that. And then something very funny. It says, and one of his servants said, not my lord, O king, but Elisha, because the king of Syria was wondering how was the king of Israel. How were they getting information regarding the plans and everything that would happen? And then the king of Syria, the king of Syria, yes, he asked one of his servants, he said, and they told him, was asking them, he said, how come information is being released from here? Because apparently they were having meetings in his bedroom. And then one of his servants said, no, my lord, O king, but Elisha the prophet, who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom. You don't have to be in a place or be close to the people or have phones and all of that to do checks for you to know who is an enemy. For you to know who is actually behind you. Let me tell you something. There are competitors in this world. There are opposers in this world. And every day of your life, if you casualize how you should act, how you should position yourself, you will not know when you become a casualty in warfare. A casualty in war. And so Elijah prayed. And then he could tell what was going on in his bedroom. Because why? He was a watchman. Let me tell you something. When your spirit really aligns with the direction of God, you will know when certain things are about to happen. You may not know details, but you will just sense signals around you. You will just know that something is not sitting right. Something is not just it around you. You would know. You are able to know that this is a season of warfare and there's a room for strategy. When you sit with God, He begins to give you strategies for warfare. You will just know that something is about to happen around you. And let me tell you something. When you know, you begin to pray that the people around you can see the same thing. So Elisha prayed and said, Lord, of course, he had told his servants that there were people around there were chariots of fire. So Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray, open his eyes that he may see. Then the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. Why? Because listen, when you see, everybody that is connected to you must also see where, so that when you say there is fire, they can see that there's actually fire. So Elisha was able to sense warfare and was able to strategize for warfare. Every watchman must know when there's a warfare around your home, when there's a warfare around your environment, when there are opposers trying to oppose what you should achieve in life. You must position yourself to see that there is warfare.